Good morning, sketchbookers. This morning I have something important to share with you. I'm doing it in video format, posted on my sketch blog, because it is that important that I want to impart this wisdom to all of you. Don't take for granted the power of the work in progress. And it doesn't matter what day of the week Work in Progress Wednesdays is really posted on. It's nice that it goes with Wednesday. But works in progress are always going on. So I'd like to share with you something I wrote down this morning, and I hope it resonates well with you, that this helps you keep going with the work in progress you have going. I was compelled to put down my thought first that works in progress are important, and to appreciate the steps within that get us to the final product we seek requires a certainty in the coherence of energy we maintain day to day. Let's speak to that quality of energy required to stay the course, thus bringing a work in progress to a work completed. This is what I came up with. A work in progress is not merely a thing half made, it is an act of becoming. To walk with it from conception to completion demands a quality of energy that is not frantic nor forceful, but coherent. Coherence means aligned. Mind, heart, and hand moving together. And each day, the energy we must bring must have rhythm, not just bursts. It's not enough to be inspired in moments. We need to be devoted in the mundane. Progress arises from presence. That presence is what keeps the thread intact from the first spark to the final form. I really appreciated this point because I needed to hear it for myself, even though I wrote it down. It really helps to think about this. This energy is not the exhausting kind that burns out quickly. It's more like the quiet flame of a lantern, steady, protected, enduring. It requires rest, reflection, and reconnection with purpose. It asks us to trust the process, not to rush it, and to value each step not just as a means to an end, but an essential part of the work's integrity. To stay the course, our energy must be intentional, directed by clarity of vision, sustainable, which is paced with compassion for our limits, resilient, capable of withstanding uncertainty and doubt, and joyful, not necessarily ecstatic, but alive with meaning. Completion is not a race to the end. It is the natural culmination of sustained coherence between who we are, what we make, and why we create. When our energy matches our intention, the work in progress becomes a work of wholeness. I want you all to sit with that for a moment. Would you like to hear this from the sketch blog? I'm happy to share this as I congeal it into something a little bit more refined, and for terms of artists who are trying to get that work completed but aren't sure about sticking with it. So here's just a little bit longer if you'd like to stick with it. If you have gotten this far, then you got the nugget. You got the grain of wheat that's going to power you through your day. But here we go. Let's deep dive on this with regard to the actual post that I'm going to post today. WIP Wednesday, Work in Progress Wednesday, the energy of becoming. Works in progress, or WIPs as we affectionately call them, are the quiet, sacred middle of the creative journey. They're the sketch before the masterpiece, the half-stitched quilt, the novel in its fifth messy draft. They are where things almost are, and where we are still figuring out where they will be. They demand something deeper than talent, and they ask us for our presence, our patience, and above all, a kind of energy that sustains. This post is a meditation on that energy, on the quality of focus, intention, and rhythm that transforms a WIP into a completed work. Because while progress often feels external, lines drawn, pages filled, hours logged, the real engine behind every creation is internal, the coherence of energy we carry from day to day. The myth of the final product. Let's begin with a confession. We live in a world obsessed with the finished thing. The gallery show, the printed book, the viral post, the applause. But art, and by extension all meaningful creation, is not just about the end result. It is a ritual of unfolding, and when we rush to the end, we miss the depth and insight that only the middle can offer for ourselves. The WIP is where your relationship with the work is built, where you test your vision, confront your doubts, refine your choices. It's messy, uncertain, sometimes thrilling, often frustrating, but always honest. And for this phase of the process to thrive, it needs a particular kind of energy, coherent, sustained, and aligned. What is coherent energy? Think of coherent energy as a through line that connects your creative intention to your daily action. It's the difference between a burst of motivation and a steady current of purpose. It's not about force, but flow. It's when your hand knows when your heart has seen. Incoherent energy, by contrast, scatters. It's when we start too many things and finish none. When doubt overrides vision. When exhaustion replaces curiosity. And it's not a moral failing. It's often a sign we've been trying to operate out of sync with ourselves. Coherence doesn't mean perfection. It means alignment. And it's what allows a whip to stay alive over time. If there's one thing every artist, writer, and maker knows, it's this. Staying with the work over weeks, months, or even years is not easy. The early thrill fades, the novelty wears off, life gets in the way. How do we keep going? Here are some reminders I return to, especially on Whip Wednesdays. 1. I honor the stage that I'm in. Not every part of the process looks like progress. Sketches are meant to be rough. Drafts are meant to be incomplete. This isn't failure, it's fidelity to process. When you allow your work to exist without rushing to perfect it, you make space for unexpected growth. 2. Energy is not just physical, it's emotional and spiritual. Sleep matters, so does movement, and food and breaks. But creative energy is also about how clear you feel. How are you chasing someone else's vision? Are you overwhelmed by outcomes? Bringing your energy back into coherence often means reconnecting with your why. Let your work be a place where your values and your voice can meet. 3, create rhythms, not just routines. Daily discipline isn't about doing the same thing every day. It's about showing up with consistency and care. For some, that's 2 hours at a desk. For others, it's weekly sketch check-in. Find that rhythm that reflects the energy you can sustain, not the pace someone else is keeping. 4, protect your creative time like it's sacred, because it is. Especially in the middle of a work, the outer world will try to pull you away. It does all the time. Emails, social media, comparison. Your time with your whip is a relationship. Set boundaries. Turn off distractions. Let the work you're still listening to. Let the work know you're still listening. We often associate joy with finishing, like it only arrives when the piece is framed and the book is published. But in truth, joy is available throughout the creative process if we slow enough to feel it. The joy of discovering a surprising shape in a thumbnail sketch. The joy of rewriting a line that finally lands. That joy of knowing you showed up even when it felt hard. These are the quiet victories of the whip phase. They may not look like much from the outside, but they are the heartbeat of the creative life. Completion is not a checkbox, it's a culmination. A gathering of hours, ideas, emotions, and effort into something you can now hold. But it only becomes whole because you chose again and again to bring coherent energy to it. You didn't rush, you didn't abandon, you didn't overexert to the point of burnout. You aligned, you trusted, and you let it become. That, more than anything, is the true work of art, the becoming itself. So, as you sit with your own work in progress today, ask, what kind of energy am I bringing to this? Where am I aligned? And where do I feel scattered? Can I find joy in this stage, even if it's not yet finished? Take that breath, make a mark, and honor the becoming. Because every great work was once an uncertain sketch, and it stayed alive because someone cared enough to continue. I hope you'd cared enough to listen this far about your own work and how this can help you get even further. This is Mark with Sketchbook Artists. Sketch you later.